Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, grade 6. Today, from your subject English, we'll start unit number 2, report, from pages 14 till 19. So, first of all, we'll start reading and I'll explain you the lesson. Page number 14, I want you to open your books as well. Forest trip. We'll start from the introductory paragraph. Forest trip. What is a forest trip? For example, our school takes the whole class to a trip into a forest. That trip will be called as forest trip. Last week, my class went to visit the forest as part of a class project. Before I went, I knew that forests are very warm and wet, but then that was all I knew. On this trip, I learned why forests are important. We set off along the forest trail and I walked at the front with our teacher, Mrs. Vakar, and the guide. As we walked, the guide told us about life in the forest. He pointed out different types of trees and he asked us to listen to the sounds of the forest. We heard trees rustling and creaking as monkeys swung from branch to branch above us. The guide told us that many forest species are endangered because forests are being destroyed by loggers and developers. Our guide had told us to keep to the path so that we couldn't disturb any creatures or trip over roots and creepers on the forest floor. So first of all, this was a forest trip where a class, because of their class project, some students visited a forest. They had a teacher with them. Along with the teacher, they had a forest guide. Guide is someone like they will take you somewhere and they will show you each and everything and they will explain you everything regarding it. For example, you're going to a museum, you will be having a guide who will tell you about the way in the museum, how to walk, what are the things, from where do they belong. Just in this case, we have a guide for the forest, a forest guide who guided them the way, who guided them about the things in the forest and told them about the importance of it. Adding to this, he also told them that now forests are decreasing and forests are in danger or threatened because people are destroying and cutting the trees for their own purpose. Why forests are important? The plants of the forest make lot of the earth oxygen. Many forest plants are used in drugs that fight disease. What is the reason behind forest importance? It is that oxygen from a very big amount is coming from plants or forest. Secondly, forests are used in many things, in making paper, in making medicine, in making drugs. Plants are useful, the trees are useful, their wood is useful. Forests are useful in each and every way in our life. Then, unfortunately, Zishan didn't listen because suddenly, now Zishan is one of the students who didn't listen to the guide, and suddenly we heard a yell from the back of the group. The guide rushed back and found Zishan on the group yelping in pain. Zishan had been folding about as usual. He had left the path and had tripped over a root, twisting his ankle as he fell. The guide was fantastic. He checked that no bones were broken. Then he picked Zishan up and carried him back to the visitor center while he waited on the trail with Mrs. Vakar. When the guide returned, we finished the hike and walked around the medicinal garden. I was amazed by how many plants can be used to cure illness. Finally, we went back to the visitor center where we found Zishan chatting to another guide. This guide had wrapped some forest leaves around Zishan's ankle to bring down the swelling. By the time we left, the ankle was so much better than Zishan that Zishan was able to hobble unaided to the bus. Hopel unaided to the bus means that he can walk to the bus without taking anyone else's help. He can walk straight or he can walk in a proper way, while before they picked him up and he was unable to walk, but now because of the leaves the swelling has been lowered down and now he can walk easily to the bus. I enjoyed the visit to the forest, but it was a pity that because of Zishan's accident, there was no time to visit the nature trail zoo. Mrs. Vakar says that next time she takes the class out, she will walk at the back of the group to make sure that no one plays the fool. Now because of Zishan's accident, they didn't go on so many places. They went to some kind of medicine making institute where the students have seen that plants are used in so many ways to cure illnesses, to make medicines. to cure people. But because of Zishan's accident, they couldn't go to the zoo, and the teacher said that when next time we will be visiting, I will be at the back so I can see that okay, no one is disobeying the rules, or no one is doing any mishap. So basically, this lesson was about a forest trip where students went to the forest. They saw many plants. They saw the things which are around them in the forest and what is their importance. There was a guide who was very good and very efficient. That when a guy named Zishan fell down, he looked into him. He brought him to another place, to the camp, and where Zishan has rested a while. Then they saw that plants are used in many ways to cure diseases and illnesses as well. And then they return back without visiting the nature trail zoo, which they'll be visiting for the next time. Now coming towards the questions on page number 15, why did Shayan's class visit the forest nature trail? Because it was a part of a class project. What was the cause of Zishan's accident? Zishan left the path and tripped over a root. The left is twice, you can skip once. What two effects did his accident have on the rest of the class? They had to wait for the guide to return from the visitor center, and they did not have time to visit the nature trail zoo. Zishan's ankle, A, improved. B, was so bad that he couldn't walk to the bus. C, did not improve at all, was broken. So A, it was improved that he can walk straightly to the bus. Imagine that Shayan told his mother about the trip. How did he describe Zishan? He would say that Zishan is a naughty boy. Naughty boy means someone who plays, someone who is annoying, or someone who is disturbing others, or like jumping here and there. Like you are disturbing someone, so you are a naughty boy or naughty person. Do you think Shayan's class had a good guide? What do you think? Yes, they had a good guide. He explained them everything very well and helped Zishan get back to the visitor center. Look carefully to the map. If you were an elderly person, would you choose the garden trail or the hillside trail? Now there's a map in your book. I want you to look at that, and I have written the answer for you already. I would choose the garden trail as it is shorter than hillside trail. It was 0.5 kilometer long, while the hillside trail was 1.0 kilometer long. So what is a wise decision is you take a shorter way to reach somewhere rather than taking a long way. So according to my opinion, hillside trail was a bit longer. It was 1 kilometer, whereas the garden trail was a little bit shorter. It was 0.5 kilometer. Vocabulary, page number 16. Come to page number 16, please. What are synonyms? Synonyms are something which have like two different words having the same meaning. For example, happy or glad. If you're happy or if you're glad, it means the same, but we have two different words. For example, started, begin. Now we have an exercise where we have to write the synonyms of the following underlined words. Number 1, more forest species are endangered. Answer, another word for endangered is threatened. The guide returned, the guide came back. Zishan was on the ground yelping with the pain. Yelping means yelling or screaming. These both are the synonyms to the word yelping. He checked that no bones were broken. Answer is examined. He examined that no bone was broken. He was able to hobble to the bus. Hobble means limp. Another word for hobble is limp. He could walk unaided. Answer is unaccompanied. He could walk unaided, for example, without anybody's help. Unaided means without any help or any cure. Then page number 18, negative sentences. Present tense. Use the helping word to or does with the root of the verb and add not. For example, in present tense, when you want to make it negative, you will add it like Zishan likes school trip, and you will add do or does and add not with it. So it will become Zishan does not like school trips. In the past tense, when you want to make it negative, what you have to do, use the helping word did with the root form of the verb and add not. Root form of the verb. We have root form of the verb in the present tense as well and in the past tense as well. For example, Zishan listened to the guide. Zishan did not listen to the guide. Use the verb in the correct form and add not. He is happy, I was happy. He is not happy, I was not happy. In verb to be, you just have to add not. and you have to like add the correct form of verb. If the sentence is now being changed, you have to change the verb accordingly. But here, if he is happy, then he is not happy. By adding not, the sentence has been changed into negative. Rewrite the sentences in the negative using the tense shown. Zishan walks on the path. Zishan does not walk on the path. We saw a lot of animals in the forest. We did not see a lot of animals in the forest. Cheyenne misbehaved. Cheyenne did not misbehave. The floor of the forest gets a lot of sunshine. The floor of the forest did not get a lot of sunshine. Now we'll have changed to gets into get, misbehaved into misbehave. According to the tense, according to the rules which I have just told you of past tense and present tense, we will change the verb. Verb is changed, but the other sentence, object, subject will remain the same. Only helping verb will be added: do, does, did, with not. Not, of course, you're going to use not in a negative sentence, but then again only the verbs changes. Either the verb gets singular, or it gets plural, or it has to remain in its root form. You will not change the tense or of the verb. Come to page number 18 again. We have other sentences. The students went to the zoo. Now the students did not go to the zoo because the root form of the word went is go. Monkeys spend a lot of time on the ground. Monkeys do not spend a lot of time on the ground. Now spend is already the first form. Zishan behaves well. Zishan does not behave well. He saw a beautiful parrot. He did not see a beautiful parrot. Make questions from the following statements. Now we have statements and we have to make questions. How do we make questions? By adding did or do or does. Monkeys made a lot of noise. Did monkeys make a lot of noise? The class wrote about the visit. Did the class write about the visit? Teresa went back to the nature trail with her family. Did Teresa go back? Now we have to use the verb root form of the verb, so we will have to use go, not went. Zishan said he was sorry to the class. Zishan say he is sorry to the class. Zishan says he is sorry to the class. Zishan hurt his foot. Did Zishan hurt his foot? The class got back on time. Did the class get back on time? Mrs. Vakar went back to the nature trail. Did Mrs. Vakar went back to the nature trail? This is did class. It rained in the forest. Did it rain in the forest? You have to make the questions of these sentences by adding did and using the root form of the verb. Root form of the verb simply means that you have to use the actual verb. You don't have to change the verb. You will not make the verb in past. You will not make the verb in future. No adding of will, no adding of ing form. You just have to use the verb as it is. You have to use the present form of the verb. For example, I have been giving you the examples of go and went. Went is the past form of the verb go, but we have to use the root form, so we will change went into go. Just in the case of wrote is the past form of the verb. In sentence number 2 you can see, but we have changed wrote into write. We have to use the root form, the original form of the verb. Your homework is do part 2 from the negative verb from page number 18, and do question 2 and 3 from the part asking and answering question of page number 18 again. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the